I don't know what's going to happen with a 135 pounder going up against a 200 pounder. You know, if it's scripted, then it's going to be good for the fans to watch.
Terence Crawford has stunned fight fans with his bold take on the upcoming clash between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, saying the YouTube star turned boxer is simply too big and powerful for Tank to handle.
I think it's not a real fight. I think it's because it can't be a real fight because they ain't in the same weight. So it'd be more like an exhibition.
I think it is an exhibition, but do you think they're like, but not one person saying like, yo, I'm gonna fucking throw the match? You think?
I don't think.
Or you never know?
Yeah, I think they're gonna go in there and spar. I don't think it's gonna be you trying to kill me or I'm trying to kill you. You know, I think it's let's go in here and make this money. You know, it's more of a business tactic than anything.
Because that's what Jake and Mike kind of did.
Yeah, for sure.
Like everyone bought into that. And then when you watched it, it was just like, bro, this sucks. I'm friends with Jake. I like him too, but that fight, I didn't like that one.
Jake too big for Tank, you know? In reality, he's way too big for Tank. Like, Tank is very talented, punch hard, explosive, the whole 9 yards, but...
Yeah, because some people say Jake's fight's rigged. He's like suing people now that say they're rigged. You see that? But how could they rig it before? Because like... What if they just say, oh, we're going to go soft on each other, and then Tank just fucking throws it right at Jake?
Jake can punch with that right hand. Like, I seen him, you know what I mean, up close in person. Like, dude is big. He's not as slow as people think he is, and he can punch.
The fight is scheduled for November 14th at the Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida, and will be a 10-round exhibition. Davis, who has been one of boxing's pound-for-pound stars over the past decade, is stepping into uncharted waters by agreeing to face Paul, who has built his career by mixing boxing with entertainment. Despite it being called an exhibition, the bout is set to be scored with 3 judges at ringside, making it feel almost like a professional contest. The weight limit has been agreed at 195 pounds, a number that highlights the size difference between the two men.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm gonna fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
Davis is a 3-weight world champion, best known for his devastating knockout power at lighter weights. His last outing was against Lamont Roach Jr. back in March, where the judges scored the fight as a majority decision draw. Many observers felt Roach had done enough to hand Davis the first loss of his professional career, but the result kept Davis unbeaten. Instead of running back that fight, which many believed deserved an immediate rematch, he chose to sign up for an exhibition against Jake Paul, a decision that has not gone down well with purists in the sport.
Tank, your fight style has been deemed incredibly smart when it comes to ring IQ. You've got knockout power, you're explosive, you are a great counterpuncher. Having said all these things about you, what kind of fighter would you describe Jake Paul as?
I gotta see. Let me see real quick. What the fuck? Hold up.
You too.
I gotta see how he fighting.
Workout's fueled by Celsius, baby.
What type of fighter he is? He decent.
Paul has steadily built a career since leaving YouTube fame behind and entering the boxing ring. His most recent fight was in June when he took on former WBC middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in Anaheim. Paul surprised many by controlling the fight and earning a unanimous decision win over the seasoned veteran. Weighing in at nearly 200 pounds for that fight, Paul showed he could handle himself against a legitimate former world champion. Now, with Davis set to meet him in Miami, the question is whether Paul's size advantage will be too much for Tank to overcome. That's exactly the point Terence Crawford, boxing's undisputed super middleweight champion, made when asked to give his view. Crawford has sparred with Paul and experienced his power firsthand, which is why he believes Paul's youth, size, and strength give him the edge.
You got a mohawk, bro. Gervonta. Remember that. You got a mohawk.
You tattooed your name on your forehead so you wouldn't forget, you dumbass.
That's not my name, dumbass. That's my daughter's name, dumbass. My son's name, dumbass. Hey, again, you got a mohawk. You fucking clown.
James Toney, another 3-weight world champion, had a very different perspective. Toney dismissed the fight as little more than a spectacle. He has long been critical of Paul's involvement in boxing and said the fight looked more like a setup than a real test. Tony didn't believe it would be genuine, but insisted that if it somehow were, Davis would stop Paul with ease. He went as far as to say that Paul couldn't even spell the word fight, stressing that Davis had too much skill for him. His frustration reflected the view of many traditional boxing fans who see Paul's rise as a distraction from the sport's true competition.
Bro, now when we talk about weight difference,
you talking about bullshit? You talking about bullshit?
Talk to me. Talk to me, legend, when you seen that.
Look, I saw it, I said, okay. I turned the channel. You know what? I'm not gonna waste my time with it, man.
No.
I'm not about the bullshit. I'm about real shit. I'm not watching. Matter of fact, I don't even want to talk about it. It's not even in my vocabulary. It is. I love Tank. But Tank get shit together, man. Get real.
You don't like the fact that he's an active fighter doing an exhibition?
Dog. I know the fact that he's playing, if he's being on a string, a puppet. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what Jake Paul gonna do. If you don't go the distance, you won't get paid. If you knock me out, you won't get paid. Cause Tank gonna knock him out. Jake Paul can't fight. I don't care how big he is. He can't even spell fight. Once you know that's it.
Paulie Malignaggi added to the criticism by comparing Davis's career choices to those of Floyd Mayweather. He reminded fans that Mayweather, when challenged closely, always gave opponents immediate rematches, like he did with Marcos Maidana and Jose Luis Castillo. Davis, on the other hand, drew with Roach in a fight many thought he lost, yet has moved on to face Paul instead of settling unfinished business. Malignaggi argued that this behavior shows Davis is not living up to the standard set by his mentor.
When it comes to Davis, you know, he says in the press conference, what do you say? Just be a fan and watch the fight and enjoy the fight. Enjoy what, bro? You against Uber drivers? I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean? And then you get a guy who gives you a good fight. Don't even give him a rematch. You know what I mean? And then you want to be compared to Floyd. Floyd gave instantaneous rematches. You know what I mean? When guys tested him, I don't know, man. It's whatever, bro. I mean, what am I doing? Is me complaining gonna make a difference? No, man. We live in a world where people are gonna put up with this anyway. You know, you had a lightweight division full of danger. You had a junior lightweight division when he was there that was stacked with talent too, you know? Guy swerved again. He swerved around them like cones on a racing track. You know what I mean? All of them.
Tony Bellew also weighed in, expressing disbelief at the fight's very existence. He called it a freak show, but admitted that curiosity will still bring in viewers. Bellew acknowledged Davis's knockout power and felt that if he landed clean on Paul with smaller gloves, Paul would not last. However, he questioned why a fighter of Davis's caliber would step into the ring with someone closer in size to a cruiserweight. He said, "I can't get my head around this fight. I don't know what kind of freak show people are going to be seeing, but people are going to tune in, and I'm not going to lie, if Tank hits him clean, he's going to sleep. Tank has got legitimate power. If Jake Paul gets hit by Tank Davis with 8-ounce gloves, he's going to sleep." Former world champion Sean Porter gave a more technical breakdown. He compared the situation to Terence Crawford moving up in weight, but highlighted a key difference. Crawford has the natural frame to carry the extra pounds, whereas Davis does not. Porter estimated that Davis walks around at 145 to 150 pounds in training, making the leap to face someone like Paul, who is comfortable fighting near 200 pounds, nearly impossible. In Porter's opinion, this size difference alone makes the fight a mismatch that could expose Davis in ways his fans have never seen before.
The issue for this that I have is you have a legitimate 135-pound champion fighter getting in the ring with a 190-pound guy, whatever it is that Jake Paul is at. So now we already let's really answer this thing. Tank maybe walks around at 150, maybe. We know he's not walking around at 170. We could maybe say 160, but we know without a shadow of a doubt 150, right? In shape, 145. In shape. You know what I mean? So this is different from a Crawford coming up to 168, but we know his walk around weight is probably 170, 180. You know, so going at 168, this thing right here is just all the way different.
Yeah.
And that's my thing with this one. It's like, this is the one, Jake, that, you know, I get it. You need somebody that's really got some eyeballs on them in order for you to really take this thing serious. But at the same time, you getting in the ring with a borderline midget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is he standing on a stool in this picture?
He borderline midget. You know what I mean?
Not every fighter dismissed Paul's chances. Teofimo Lopez took a more open-minded approach. While he didn't outright pick Paul to win, he acknowledged that Paul's size, dedication, and steady improvement make him a potential threat. Lopez reminded fans that boxing is unpredictable, and with the kind of weight difference in this fight, anything could happen.
Can you see Jake Paul knocking out Gervonta Davis?
It's boxing, man. And if it's a show like this, anything goes, anything happens. You know, we expected Mike Tyson to do something, didn't go out that way. Jake Paul's training very hard, so, you know, kudos to both guys. I'm not going to critique them.
Ryan Garcia was far less forgiving. He called the fight ridiculous and said the weight situation was misleading. Garcia pointed out that Paul will comfortably hit the 195-pound limit, but then likely rehydrate closer to 215 pounds on fight night. Davis, on the other hand, doesn't even touch 150 pounds outside of training camp. To Garcia, this fight isn't about testing skill, it's simply a stunt. He said he respected Paul when he fought opponents closer to his size, like Chavez Jr., but this fight crossed a line in his view.
Jake Paul versus Tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone's talking about it. It's a whole thing. A lot of people liked it, didn't like it.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first saw that it was a thing?
It pissed me the fuck off, bro.
Yeah, why?
It's just disappointing on mainly Jake's end. You know, we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for you're not a fighter no more. We're not falling for that. You know, you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And, you know, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. You know, I understand people saying, you know, Gervonta got to go get his money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, oh, you got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit.
Right.
That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, well, LeBron's making too much. Like, nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you know, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter.
Dana White also shared his thoughts, sparking even more debate. He focused on the size gap, questioning whether Davis could realistically close the distance against someone as big as Paul. For White, the fight felt unbalanced from the start, and he wondered why it was being made in the first place. His comments added to the growing sense that the bout was more spectacle than sport.
When you fought Floyd, you are massive. You're a massive dude. Floyd's tiny. And I'm sure when you were training, you're like, all right, I'm going to hit this guy with a couple punches and grab him, tie him up. And he did hit you with a bomb of an overhand right one time. And you ate it. You ate that punch. And Gervonta, I think, hits way harder than Floyd, but he's too small. I mean, your brother's going to be able to, you know, get inside on him, put his weight on him, tie him up. But I don't hate your brother.
Mike Perry, who once fought Paul himself, echoed concerns about the matchup. Having felt Paul's power firsthand, Perry doubted Davis would be able to deal with the same level of physicality. Perry noted that Davis didn't look at his best against Roach and suggested his hunger may be fading, while Paul still has everything to prove. In his opinion, that difference in motivation could tilt the fight toward Paul.
Jake is big. Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, I mean, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and, you know, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
Tim Bradley brought a different perspective, speculating that Davis may be mapping out the last stages of his career. Still in his prime, Davis could be chasing big money opportunities before stepping away from the sport. Bradley even suggested the possibility of a future fight against Manny Pacquiao, a dream matchup that would generate enormous interest worldwide. From that angle, the Paul fight might just be a stepping stone in a carefully planned exit strategy rather than a career-defining choice.
With his kids hanging out, singing Kumbaya songs. This is it. One of them right here. I think he gonna have two. This is one. The next one gonna be Manny Pacquiao, I think. And then I think that's when he gonna get up and he gonna say, bye boxing, thank you so much. Yup. And guess what? They gonna be, 2 years from now, they gonna be saying, Tank Davis. Do you know who this is? Yeah. This is the Hall of Fame. Yep. Tank Davis getting in the Hall of Fame. I don't give a damn what anybody says.
Nate Diaz, who fought Paul back in 2023, admitted the fight was difficult to judge. He respected Davis's abilities, but couldn't overlook the awkward size disparity. Diaz remained neutral, pointing out how strange the fight felt compared to typical matchups in the sport.
I gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
It's just. I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually. I'm not hating on the fight, but I think. My thoughts on it is let's watch it and see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said that boxing's turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. What do you agree? Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor?
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE. So
right.
Like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about, something to watch. And I'm looking forward to that fight, actually.
Eddie Hearn was perhaps the most baffled of all. He recalled there had once been talk of Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, which at least would have been a battle between two men of similar size. Instead, Paul is taking on someone much smaller, and Hearn couldn't understand what Davis hoped to gain. With so many legitimate challenges available in his own weight division, Hearn saw this as a risky diversion that could harm Davis's long-term reputation.
Big news, Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul. Not a real fight, an exhibition fight, November the 15th.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting going from heavyweight to lightweight very quickly. We knew that Jake would potentially take a fight this side of the year. I think I was the first one to say about 3 or 4 months ago that fight was agreed between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. I wasn't expecting it to be announced today, but it is what it is. I'm not... I've had a lot of media asking me my opinion of it today. It is what it is. I think on one side, you have to understand the business of it. I hate these exhibitions. I hate these 14-ounce gloves. I don't know what it's going to be, but you've now got Jake, who's a 210, 220 pounder fighting a 135 pounder. Bit weird, but at the same time, I can't be a hypocrite and say, if you're Gervonta Davis and you're being offered 20, 30, 40 million, whatever the number is, and you're getting 7 or 8 to fight Lamont Roach in a 50-50, what are you going to do? I mean, maybe the kid's half checked out of the game anyway, So I think as long as we kind of established it's not boxing and it's just this entertainment thing, then I get it. But I think it probably, a lot of people are saying, do you still want to fight him? Anthony. It's like, we never really wanted to fight him. We were never really looking for the fight. We were approached about the fight and we would have said yes. Whether they actually ever wanted to fight him or whether it was just, for a bit of clout. But if he did want to fight, probably does change things a little bit now because, if he gets beat up by Gervonta or, I don't know, I just don't know what's going to happen, but that's the freakiness of it. So I can't really knock it, but it's just not really for me.
The fight has divided the boxing world like few others before it. For some, it is a bizarre spectacle that insults the sport's traditions. For others, it is a fascinating experiment that could end with either a shocking upset or another highlight reel knockout from Tank. On November 14th, when the bell finally rings in Miami, fans will find out if Paul's size and power are truly too much for Davis, or if Tank's experience and explosiveness can overcome the odds. Until then, the buildup continues to stir debate, controversy, and curiosity, ensuring that the event will have the world watching regardless of the outcome.